Welcome to another HackerRank challenge. This one is called Find a String. And in this one, we're provided with a longer string of characters. In this example, it's A, B, C, D, C, D, C, and a substring, in this case, C, D, C. And we're supposed to find how often this substring occurs in this longer string. In this case, we can find CDC here once and then CDC here again. So the correct answer would be 2. Okay, before we get started, let's have a look at what we're dealing with on the right in terms of the code that is already provided for us. So here, the code is just reading in the string and then the substring, and then those two values are being passed into a function called countSubstring. And that's the function that we're going to edit up here. So at the moment it's empty and it's returning none. So this is where we're going to write all of our logic. Okay, so there's probably a number of different ways that we can solve this. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the length of the substring and use that to define a window that we're going to slide across the main string. So in this case, we're looking for a substring that has 3 characters. So we can now pass our string 3 characters at a time. So we'll first look at A, B, C and compare it with our substring, see if those match. If not, we're moving on to the next one, and now we can see these are equal, so we'll count that as 1. We'll continue DCD and then CDC again. So we'll find 2 matches with this strategy, which is the correct answer. So now we need to implement this in code. So the very first thing that we're going to do is figure out what this window size is. And that's very easy. We're going to call that W, and that's just going to be the length. So we'll use len of our substring. As easy as that. Next, we're going to need a counter that counts how often our substring occurs within our larger string. So we'll just call that count, and initially that's going to be 0. Now we can start setting up our for loop that is going to iterate over the string, sliding our window across and comparing the window to the substring. So the tricky bit here is how to facilitate the sliding of our window across our string. So for that, we'll use a for loop. And in that for loop, our variable is going to correspond to the index of the first letter of our window. So it's going to start with 0 for this window, and then we'll go all the way to the last window where the index is going to correspond to the length of the string minus the length of the window. Okay, so let's put that into code. So this would be for I in range. And we want to go up to the length of our string minus W, which is the length of our window. And now we actually have to go +1 because this range is non-inclusive of the highest value. So we'll just add 1 here. Next, we'll have a look at our window. So we'll create a variable called window, and that's going to be the slice of the string that we're interested in. So that's string, and now let's slice it up. We'll run from I to I plus W. And just to see what that looks like, let's actually print it out. Print window and run it. And now we can see for our example, this is the sliding window. So it starts with A, B, C, then moves on to the next window, which is going to be CD, and so on. So that's working very well. So let's finish this up. Okay, we can get rid of this. And now all that we need to do is compare the content of our window to the content of this substring. And if they're equal, then we'll want to increase our count by 1. So we'll write an if statement. If window is equal to substring, then we want to increase count by 1. So we'll go count equals count plus 1. And finally, we'll want to return that count, and that should do it. Let's run our code. Very nice. Let's submit it. And it does pass all the test cases, so we're good to move on to the next one. See you there.